Hello, my name is Hasmik Matevosyan, and I would like to welcome you to the webinar of today about the 10 mistakes that you can avoid when listening to the needs and the desires of your target audience. So before we start, I would like to give you the structure so you know what to expect in the upcoming half an hour to 60 minutes. First, I'm going to tell you who I am, so you know who you are listening to. Next to that, I'm going to go to the main content of the webinar and talk about the 10 mistakes that you can avoid. And we're going to finish up the session with a Q&A session. So if you have questions, you can leave them under the video in the comment box on YouTube. And at the end of my talk, I can look in the comments and answer your questions. There's one challenge. There is something between 30 seconds to 60 seconds delay from the moment that I'm talking until the moment that you're seeing me talking. So it might be a little while before you receive the answer to your question. So first of all, about myself, my name is Hasmik Matevosyan, and I'm the author of the book Paradigm Shift in Fashion and the creator of Good Fashion Mastery. So for the past 5 years, I've been researching how to improve the fashion industry and how to shift it from a harming to a contributing industry. I looked into sustainability in each part of the fashion chain. I looked into fashion systems, clothing psychology, design, visual communication, and business models. And from the whole research that I have done until now, I have developed a design system and a business model that help fashion brands to make profits while producing in an ethical and environmentally friendly way, and offering clothes that are attractive and affordable for their consumers. So today we're going to discuss one part of the design system that I have developed for achieving this, and that is about listening to the needs and the desires of the target audience. The design system, what it helps to do is to prevent overproduction that we have today in the fashion industry. Today we have 30% overproduction, which is a major waste of environmental resources, but also of financial investment. So today we're going to talk about listening to the needs and the desires of your customers and which mistakes you can prevent when doing so. And before we can move on, I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see the presentation and have a better understanding of what we're talking about. So the presentation is going to be about the 10 mistakes that we can avoid. And I'm going to show you a line which explains the mistake. And next to it, you're going to hear me talk and explaining the line. So the very first mistake is not to ask what the needs and desires are at all. There are a lot of fashion brands who are designing clothes based on their own vision and based on a concept, sales reports, but they never actually get in touch with their target audience. They never start a dialogue. So they design based on assumptions. They have no facts that give them guidelines for designing the clothes. Not asking what the needs and desires are is like designing without base. Not knowing which decisions are right, which are wrong, and then hoping at the end of the process, after clothes that have been designed and produced, that they will get sold. But that's not usually the case. So mistake number one is not asking what the needs and desires are at all. Moving on to the next mistake is about not reaching the target audience with the communication. This is a major problem or major challenge, you could say, when you have something that you want to communicate to your target audience as a fashion brand, but you do not know how to reach them. So that kind of defeats the purpose, because it is very important to have a dialogue with your customers. And for that, it's very important as well to know how to reach them. So understand their lifestyle, understand what kind of media they're reading. Are they reading blogs or newspapers or magazines? Can you find them in LinkedIn groups or maybe Facebook groups? Or are these people who are not making use of the internet, and maybe you can find them in certain shops or in cafes, maybe at the gym? So you need to know through which channels you can get in touch with your target audience so you can communicate with them. Mistake number 3 is about asking everybody what their needs and desires are. This sometimes happens with fashion brands who don't exactly know who their target audience is, and they are guessing that everybody could be their target audience. Let's say for a basic t-shirt, a lot of fashion brands and designers, also retailers, are thinking that for a t-shirt everybody can be the target audience, but that's not true. To understand the target audience, a fashion brand needs to know what the demographics are of the customers, what their lifestyle is, what their problem or the pain is that the fashion brand is solving with the collections that they are offering. So a basic t-shirt which would fit a girl of 13 years old is not the same t-shirt which would fit a man of 50 years old. They have different needs, they have different desires, they have different budgets, different tastes. So it's very important to know who you want to communicate with prior to starting. Mistake number 4 is about not asking what the frustrations are regarding the clothes and the products that a fashion brand is planning to produce. This is a question that I have asked several times when helping fashion brands to understand their customers. When you ask what your frustration is in regards to a t-shirt, for example, you can receive a lot of useful information about mistakes you shouldn't make in a design, which would lead to an unpleasant experience that a customer would feel. So you can ask, what is your biggest frustration when it comes to, let's say, summer t-shirts, or when it comes to shoes or baby clothes and so on, and leave space for the customer to answer. This brings us to the next point, or the next mistake, which is about offering multiple choice answers to a question from your point of view and not from the point of view of your customers. I have filled in several questionnaires in the last years where a company was asking a question and they were giving the option of choosing out of one of the 4 or 5 answers that they had come up with, and I could not find myself in any of these answers. So I would usually just choose one which actually did not represent me and my needs and desires. That's the reason why it's very crucial for fashion brands to think of the answers from the point of view of their target audience and their customers. So what kind of answers would they like to give, and not what kind of answers are you seeking for to receive. The mistake number 6 is about not leaving space for explanation. Those are mistakes in regards to a questionnaire that would happen online, because when you're asking people, if you're having an interview, then there's always space for explanation. But when you're asking questions on the internet, for example through Google Docs or SurveyMonkey, then it's very important to leave space next to multiple choice answers, also to leave space for explanation, so that the customer or the person who's filling in the questionnaire can explain why they chose for a certain answer and maybe give you information that you forgot to ask about. It is going to be a lot of work to read all of the information, but at the end of the day, it's going to provide you with a lot of useful information about how to make clothes that really matter to your target audience. And the fact that you give space for an explanation also communicates that you are really listening, that you are prepared to understand your target audience fully before you go on and design clothes or products for them. Mistake number 7 is about not using the language of your target audience when communicating. So when talking about the needs and desires when it comes to clothes, that is a very personal topic, because clothes are actually a second skin that people are choosing to wear, and that's also the layer that communicates who we are. When you start asking your target audience what their needs and desires are, and you're doing it in a very formal way with using very objective words, then there's going to be a distance between the person who's reading the questions and answering them. They're not going to feel at ease. So to make your target audience feel at ease, it is very important to use their language, their words, when formulating questions and answers. And it would also be great if you could integrate sentences in between the questions to give the sense of a dialogue instead of an interrogation. Mistake number 8 is about not asking for feedback about already produced and sold products. This is a point that is important for fashion brands who already have one or several collections which are already being sold. Those are actually prototypes or earlier collections that you have created that are easy or are making it easy for your target audience to communicate what is right and what is wrong about the product. There is a reference point, there is a product that they can talk about. So I would highly recommend for fashion brands who already have products to start a dialogue to ask for feedback about these products when talking to their target audience. Usually, if you're selling through a web shop, you have the email addresses of your customers. If you have a Facebook group or a page, you can post a question there. If you have your own shop, you can have a somebody, an assistant who's working in the shop who would ask the questions and have an interview or a small talk with the customers to understand what they like and what they do not like about the offer. This is very important to ask for feedback about already produced and sold products, because it is going to help to keep improving the collections in time. So if you know that you should create sweatpants with very big pockets, then in the next collection you can do this, and then you can ask about feedback about the material so you can improve it in the next collection as well, and so on. So it's going to be an ongoing improvement of the products that you are offering. The 9th mistake that is being made quite often is about not testing whether the design decisions that a fashion brand has made are right. It's one thing to understand what the needs and the desires of the target audience are, which is by itself a very intense procedure, but it is also very important to test the design decisions that you came up with your target audience or with your ideal clients. So that's a group out of your target audience who is committed and willing to participate and is willing to help you to develop products that are actually going to make the difference. It can be that you understood the needs and the desires, but that your design decisions are not completely answering the needs, or maybe they are answering them in a completely wrong way. So that's the reason why in my design system that I have developed, I'm giving space to test the designs twice. The first time it is about testing the visuals, so on receiving feedback without actually having real clothes yet. And the second testing point is about actually giving the first samples or clothes to your target audience for wearing for 2 to 4 weeks, so they can give you feedback about the fit, about how it behaves after washing it, what the reactions are that are coming from their friends, from their colleagues, and so on. So it is my suggestion or my recommendation to first of all listen to the needs, and then test your design decisions to prevent mistakes, because the 30% overproduction that we have is because there are a lot of mistakes in the designs. It's because there are a lot of clothes being designed which do not fit the needs and the desires of people. And this brings us to the very last mistake that I would like to discuss today in the webinar, which is about not knowing what the needs and desires are when talking about fashion. This is a very crucial point, and I would like to discuss it a bit more in depth. So earlier I mentioned that I'm developing Good Fashion Mastery. That is going to be a video course with 10 videos and 2.5 hours of information that are going to explain to you how the design system and the business model that I have developed can be implemented in your fashion brand. And in those 10 videos, I'm going to go really in depth into understanding the needs and the desires, understanding how to define the target audience, understanding how to test your designs, and so on. Only today with this webinar, I just want to give you a general understanding of what it is to talk to your target audience and what the needs and desires are. So with this last point, I would like to go just a little bit more into depth to let you understand or share with you what we're talking about when we're talking about needs and desires. When it comes to clothes, there are 3 kinds of needs and desires. The first one is financial. So everybody has a certain budget that they can spend on a dress, on trousers, on sweatpants, on shoes, or a whole outfit. First of all, you need to know what the budget of your target audience is. So that also means what your limitations are when it comes to materials, decoration, detailing, and so on in your product. Next to that, you also need to know what the desires are for a certain budget. So what the expectations are for a person when they are talking about the budget that they have. Think of a dress that they want, and they have a budget of 100 euros. Are they expecting a handcrafted dress with a lot of details in it, or are they just expecting a basic dress with a couple of seams in it just to wear at home? So you need to know what the expectations and the desires are for a certain budget that your target audience has. The second, you could say, departments, or the second way of how the physical needs and the needs and the desires can be understood is about looking at the physical aspects of clothes and the products that you are offering. So think about the material. How does it feel against the skin? Think about the freedom of movement, about comfort. Is it a material that makes the customer sweat, or is it something that makes them feel really light and airy? Is it something that keeps them warm when it's cold outside? So those are the physical needs when it comes to clothes, shoes, bags, and accessories in fashion. And the last part of the needs and desires is actually the very fundamental part and the reason behind wearing clothes in the first place. We all wear clothes, and we wear different clothes to different occasions. And there is a deeper reason for it. It's not only about the trends, it's not only about what we see in the magazines, it's about a fundamental need that we are experiencing as humans and that we want to communicate about through the clothes. So one of the psychological needs that we have as humans is decoration. So we want to make ourselves more attractive, or we want to receive attention. We want to be at the center of attention. We want to feel beautiful. The second psychological need is about trying to hide certain body parts or to blend in with a group. So it is about modesty. And there is always a tension between decoration and modesty, which makes fashion so fascinating. And that's one of the topics I'm going to talk about in the course Good Fashion Mastery. The third and the last psychological need is about protection. And when talking about protection, I'm not talking about protection against the weather, but I'm talking about the protection against the judgment by other people. Clothes cover quite a big part of our body, so clothes can be seen from a big distance. So people are always looking at each other, and what you are wearing is a communication about yourself. And that's the reason why when wearing something to a job interview or to a presentation, we're trying to do our best to look the best that we can so that we won't get judged about our looks. So in short, there are three different needs and desires when it comes to clothes. The financial ones, which is about the budget and the expectations for a certain budget. The physical needs, which is about freedom of movement, comfort, the way the material feels against the skin, how your body feels in the clothes or in the products that you are wearing. And the third one is about the psychological needs and desires when it comes to clothes. And those can be divided in decoration, in modesty, and in protection. I would like to finish the presentation by pointing out that Good Fashion Mastery is a project that I'm developing right now. So there are 8 more days to pre-order your video course. So you would help me to develop it. The video course eventually is going to be for free, but I still need to develop it. So for that, I have developed a crowdfunding on Indiegogo. You can pre-order your video course with 10 videos and 2.5 hours of information on Indiegogo by paying 10 euros, or you can choose one of the other rewards. Next to that, you can also become a member of the Facebook group Paradigm Shifting Fashion, and also the LinkedIn group Paradigm Shifting Fashion, where you can find a lot of like-minded people in the field of fashion and sustainability to connect with, to brainstorm with. So get connected, and I'm looking forward to hear from you.